I did. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. I kind of, I finally passed that first period. Now I gotta be consistent. Just do it. Don't look at it. I was through my phone. I was like, no.
Good morning, good morning. Good morning, sir. You been out door knocking? Silence speaks volumes, right? Are we ready?
I'm here.
Good, all right. Good morning, everybody. How we doing?
Good morning.
All right, excellent. Grab a seat. Get comfortable. So you're all here for a specific purpose. It's right behind me on the screen. 6 ways to find an additional sale this month. Now, before we got started, we were having a conversation. What was your name again? Adrian. Adrian and I were having a quick conversation about what does additional mean? Well, who here is selling 0 houses a month? I don't need you to raise your hand. It's okay. You don't have to signify yourself. If you're selling 0 houses a month right now and you want to sell 1 in the next 30 days, that's what this is about. If you're selling 2, you want to sell a 3rd, that's what this is about. If you're selling 10, you want to sell 11th, that's what this is about. My goal today, I'm going to be very clear and very direct. I am not here to sell you on something that is new and fascinating and exciting that you could go and spend money on or put a bunch of energy into that's going to potentially get you a sale this month that someone's out there theorizing around. I'm going to show you things that you could do right now. Now, here's the caveat to that. You're probably doing some of this stuff already. Is it fair to say that the experts in some things are just doing them at a little bit higher level, a little bit more consistently? I heard that word thrown out by Adrian a second ago, being more consistent. Are just doing the right things over and over again more consistently than those that aren't producing at as high of a level. Is that a fair statement? Yeah. Are you going to like everything I'm going to show you? Are you going to choose to do everything I show you? No. There's 6 ways up here. If you chose one of these, if you're already doing it and you took some bits and pieces from what I say up here today and you go and do that one thing better, will that improve your business?
Yes.
Potentially it should. If you choose all 6 and you integrate them into your schedule, into your business plan, will that ultimately help you make more than 1 additional sale per month? I believe the answer is yes. By way of introduction, my name is Michael Putnam. I'm the president for KW Advisors. I've been in the industry for about 15 years. I started off as a struggling agent. I got into the industry after leaving a corporate job, and I was super excited about the freedom and flexibility and the potential for financial wealth. I took advantage of the freedom and flexibility to the point where I would sit on the couch until 11 o'clock in the morning watching whatever I wanted to on TV and eating cereal. And then I said, well, I probably should go to work today. And I'd go to the office, I'd find someone to have lunch with, I might talk to a couple prospects or people in my database, and then I'd go have lunch, and then I'd find someone to go to the bars with and have drinks with later that night. So I was working a full day. It was a full day. And guess what my results were over the first 6 months of my career? 0. Luckily, I did make 1 sale in my 6th month because I gave myself a deadline and I told my wife, hey, I'm leaving a very stable job that's pretty high paying. I need to do this for myself. She was very supportive of it and give me 6 months. Give me 6 months to go do what I got to do to be able to support our family and to see if I even like the industry. So as that 6 months started approaching, I said, oh crap, I made a commitment to myself and my wife, I better do something. So I went out there and I started working a little bit harder. And just by grit, I was able to find a sale that month. So I'd go back to her and say, look, I'm gonna make this much money. We're good for right now. And I bought me a little bit of time. And then guess what? I went back to my same routine. And I spent the next 12 months struggling until I found a mentor, until I found a model and found a system that would help me actually become consistent and do the right things over time. Over the next 14 months, my business took off. It did pretty well. And then over the next 12 months, it tripled again. So after about 2.5, 3 years, I was in the top 1% of my marketplace, which is Sacramento. I personally was selling 60 homes a year. My team was selling 200 at that point. The next year, we sold 200 homes, and we were doing pretty well. We started getting distracted. Who here has been distracted in their business before? Everybody at some level. It's like, I'm doing pretty well. I want to try these new things. And then we forget about the things that got us there in the first place. How do you stay in shape? Continuing to work out and eat healthy. Yeah, consistency around the basic fundamentals. So I'm going to talk a lot about fundamentals. So you're going to look at this and go, this is really basic stuff. Good. Who here could use a little bit more basic in their life? You don't have to raise your hand. I will. Double hands. Because the basic stuff is proven to work over and over again. Are there some things in here that might be novel to you? Maybe if you haven't done them before, that's great too. Take them, use what you want. If you put all these things in your calendar right now and you're not doing any of them yet, you're overwhelming yourself. Don't do that. If you're doing none of the stuff we talked about today, pick one or two and go execute on those at a really high level and then add to it. If someone's new to fitness, my wife's a fitness and nutrition coach, and when she brings on a new person, she works with specifically women who have had kids. She's a mother of two. She really wants to focus on that niche. If they haven't worked out in a year or 2 or 5, or since their babies were born however long ago, it's not a cool, here's your 90-minute workout program 6 days a week and all this nutrition that you're gonna have to change. It's what's one thing we can change, and it's what's one thing that we can do inside the health, the fitness side of things to get you going. Do you see my point? It's much easier to build on something than to go all the way in and find yourself cutting way back. What that does to us is it makes us feel like we're failures. What it does to us sometimes is it overwhelms us and we stop being effective. And we give up too early. So build momentum. All right, jumping right on in. Here we go. This one's the first step. Let your calendar be the boss. What do you think I mean here? Don't worry, this is just a setup for the 5 additional steps. What do you think I mean by let your calendar be the boss?
Schedule what you need to do.
Schedule what you need to do. Why?
So you can time manage.
So you can time manage? Absolutely. Managing yourself within the confines of the bounds of time. Time will just keep moving no matter what. You can't manage it. You can manage yourself within it. Diana, you were going to say something.
I was going to say make sure that you're in activity. Like, are you actually doing things that are going to lead to sales?
Are you doing the right things? If I asked everybody to bring out their calendar right now and show it to their partner or show it to their neighbor next door right here, would they see a lot of white space on it, meaning there's nothing scheduled in there, or would they see a lot of stuff in there that's not necessarily putting you in front of an additional sale this month? Only you can answer that question because I'm not going to ask you to do that. It's an exercise I go through with a lot of people early on in a coaching relationship with me is show me your calendar. Show me what you're doing right now to get the results you're having right now. And usually just by asking that question, they'll say, I don't want to show it to you. They show it to me anyways. And almost invariably, I see a lot of white space, which is not a problem. I like white space on my calendar too. You need time to think. You need time to just decompress. You need time to be able to go and focus on things that matter to you personally as well. And yet, if you don't have specific activities in there that you're going to do to make an additional sale this month or build a sales business for future, are we typically creatures of habit? We'll go back to the things that are easy, back to the things that are comfortable. And are those always the most productive things? No. So there's something on the screen here. Set your plan and follow it like, anybody want to take a guess? Like what? Like what?
Clockwork.
Clockwork, it's a great word. Like an employee. And I put say what up there because who here wants to be an employee? No hands, I'm surprised. Not really. What I mean by this is this. You're business owners. If you were to hire someone tomorrow and pay them $150,000, $250,000, $600,000 a year, would you expect them to show up at a certain time and do certain work? Would you hold them accountable to doing that work in order to get the results that you require for that kind of compensation and for the business you want to build and the life you want to live? I would hope so, or otherwise you're a terrible business owner. And I don't think we are. So my point is, if you can treat yourself like an employee inside your own business. Now, I make the joke that I'm kind of schizophrenic. I have 2 personalities. I have the visionary, the boss, the leader in me that his job is to set the pace, to set the tone, to set the goals, to set the expectations, the standards. And then in my own business, which I own my own business, I own multiple businesses, I'm also the employee. And the employee in me shows up at a certain time. I got here, I don't know, 8:05 this morning, drove 2.5 hours to get here because I hate showing up somewhere later than 8:15. I'm so programmed to be in an office by 8:15 that if I don't, I get really weird. Because I treat myself like an employee. Now, technically, I'm an independent contractor with KW Advisors. Yes, I work for Rick Cunningham. Yes, I'm contracted with all the offices. I don't have to show up at 8:15. I choose to because that is how I'm programmed over the course of the last 10 years. If I show up and be in the right place that's conducive to my environment, the way I want to work, I will do better. Who here shows up better when they're in a place conducive to what they want to accomplish? Who works out harder at the gym than they do at home? Most of us. Who needs to be in an office to be more productive? I do, not everybody. Some are totally good being out in the field all day long. Some are totally good being in their home office. What I'm saying here is act like an employee wherever that place of work is meant to be. So here are some actionable items you can take right now. I have a very specific, easy way to build a calendar. Step number 1, wipe it out. Wipe out your entire calendar. Start from scratch. I do this on a blank piece of paper. I don't go into my calendar and start filling all these time blocks in until I really know my priorities for the 3 areas I'm going to talk about. Step number 1 is wipe out your calendar. Just erase it all. If it's important, will it show back up on there? Will someone remind you that it needs to be on there? Hey, why aren't you at this meeting? Oh, shoot, I took it off my calendar. It'll get back on there. If you need to go through it first and write down the things that have to show back up on there, be very sparing with what you put on that piece of paper. So wipe it out. Step number 2, schedule your personal time. I work a lot of hours, a lot. And yet, guess what shows up on my calendar for me? I have twin 9-year-old boys. They show up on there. I have a wife that I've been with for 22 years, known for 40 years. She shows up on there. My health shows up on there. My education shows up on it. Things that fulfill me, bring me joy. Last night I was sitting on the couch. It was about 7 o'clock. I was working on some of this actually and some other things. And my son said, Dad, do you want to play basketball? And in that moment, there was white space. I was working. And 3 seconds later, the laptop was closed. We were in the car. We were driving to a park to go play basketball. Because that stuff matters to me. So what matters to you on the personal side? This could be a daily thing, a weekly thing, a monthly thing, a vacation you're planning. I'm going to Wyoming to climb the tallest mountain in Wyoming in June. You better believe that entire week, that's on my calendar. Those are the easy ones to put on your calendar. What are the harder ones? Taking care of yourself. Reading, meditating, praying, whatever you do for yourself. And we often take for granted ourselves. We take for granted our most important relationships, which we'll talk about in a minute too. So step number 2 is put your personal stuff on the calendar first. My recommendation is if you're treating this like an employee relationship within your own business, those things are likely going to show up before you start work and after you end work. I do recommend having a start and finish time for your business day. Who here hears that and goes, we're in real estate. We don't have an end time. Of course. Could you, however, put, when I've done everything I need to do, unless I have something extremely important I have to take care of, I stop at this time to go take care of something for myself. Have dinner with a friend, have dinner with my family, do whatever, go to the gym. Could that show up on your calendar too? Absolutely. Mine is 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. At 6 p.m., I'm checking out, if I can, and I'm going and focusing energy on my personal life. And guess what? I go back to work after that. It happens. So step number 2 is add your personal stuff. Step number 3, your professional development. Your professional development. What are some potential things that show up on your calendar that are actual professional development pieces? I want you to be thinking about this so you can put these down for yourself. However, I also want to hear from you. What are some professional development schedules? What could that be?
Well, we're here now.
Boom, you're here now. Hopefully this is going to develop you at some level professionally. What else? Who here has a coach? Hey, I have a coach. They're on my schedule. I believe in the 10% rule. 10% of your time and 10% of your money should go to professional development. Going to seminars. And by the way, if you make $1 million a year, you can spend $100,000 if you follow the 10% rule. When I was making $64,000 a year, I spent $6,000 per year on my professional development. I had a budget of $500 a month that I could spend on going and becoming better. 10% of time stays relatively static. How much time do I have? I've got 10% of that. That's a rule of thumb for your calendar. Between the two, now by the way, you'll sprinkle some personal stuff in there. If you've got kids to pick up at school or if you need to take care of a doctor's appointment, those are personal things that will show up on your calendar. My goal for all of us is that no more than 20% of our operational hours, between 8 and 6 for me, no more than 20% of that hour, 10 to 20%, is going to go towards personal or professional. Guess what the other 80% is? Work. The employee. The employee doing the job. Now, if you've already got a big business, that employee is going to show up in a different way. Adrian, right? When Adrian and I were talking earlier, I was having this thought when I first started my business, and I mentioned I struggled for a little while, then I really got my head together and I started actually following a model and doing the work. 80% of my day was on the phones. I'm a phone guy. If you're a door knocker, an open house host, working your sphere, out having lots of coffees, whatever that is for you, 80% of your time in those areas. Until I started having prospects, and then clients, and then showings and listings. Then the 80% shifted to more like 30% I'm on the phone. The other 50% of my day, or my work day, I'm actually with people. It will ebb and flow over time. Do we ever ride roller coasters in our business? Do the work, pick up clients, get busy, stop doing the work. Oh, shoot, clients are sold. Don't have any clients, so I gotta go back into the trough, start doing the work. The goal here is to minimize that roller coaster ride and keep at least 2 to 3 hours. This is all out of the MREA and shift. Keep 2 to 3 hours of the business building activities in the morning or whenever you're best at your best every single day. I say every single day with a little bit of an asterisk next to it because some days you won't be able to. If I have a client come in tonight that says, I'm only in for tomorrow, I need to see these 5 homes, they're all $2 million properties, I already know they're pre-qualified, ready to rock, I might sacrifice my 2 hours of lead generation that day. I'm willing to do that. It's gonna go show back up on the calendar somewhere. So, just to recap that really quickly, wipe it out, add your personal things, add your development. This can be skill set, script practice, or role play and practice. It can be coaching, it can be team meetings, whatever is important to you that you get value from that will help you do better and become better. The rest of your day, activities, whatever that is for you. All right, so that's just the setup for this. Number 2, move your current clients forward. Now, before I get into the bullet points around this one, here's what I want to talk about. I said earlier we take for granted sometimes ourselves and those closest to us. I think in real estate, we also take for granted those people that are already working with us. Who here has had a client that they didn't hear from or didn't reach out to for 2 or 3 weeks? Anybody, ever? Yeah, stagnant. Maybe there's no homes popping up that they want to see. Maybe the listing's just sitting. Now in certain markets, that's a little bit more rare. However, with some buyers over the last 24 months, have we seen it to where they're just gone for a month? Because there's no houses for them. What do you need to do there? So the point is here, they've already said yes to you. I rank everything and everybody in my life. Who hears that and says, that sounds cold? I bet you do it too. I have people that are my favorites and most important in my life. I have things in business that are more important than others. We rank them subconsciously, or I do consciously all the time. Do you think my wife and kids get more attention than my friend who I haven't talked to since college? Or that I only talked to once a year since college? Of course. And yet, sometimes we end up giving more energy to the squeaky wheel, to the person or the thing that's less important, and we sacrifice the relationship that we've got. I was sitting there on the couch the other night, and my wife was sitting across from me, and I was just asking myself this question. What can I do to make sure she knows how much I care about her? Because right now she's going through some stuff. She's got some things happening on her side of the family. It's traumatic and dramatic. What can I do? Because if I don't, I'm just gonna sit there, we're gonna go about our lives, and she's not gonna feel that love for me. So constantly thinking, how do I make sure the people that have already said yes to me are gonna continue saying yes to me? That's the selfish side. And I can pour into them because they deserve it too. Treat your clients the same way. So here's a specific method you can use to staying in touch with your clients. If you want to write this down, this is something you can use right now. We call it the 2x3 method. Every client, this can apply to prospects, however, that's a big pool sometimes. Every client you've got right now, you should be in touch with them no less than 2 times per week, regardless of what's going on in the market. Now, how do you do that? Does somebody already do this? Okay, 1, a simple update on where the market is or where they are in the process. My method for this is Monday morning emails. If I'm working with Adrian, I'm gonna keep picking on Adrian because we talked earlier. If I'm working with Adrian, and Adrian's a buyer with me or a seller with me, he's going to get an email from me by 6:30 in the morning on Monday every single week. Sometimes that email will be, Adrian, we saw these 4 houses last week. I ran these numbers on them. What would you like to do? Which one of those would you like to go see again? Or we're in escrow. Hey, Adrian, this is where we are in the process. Just want to give you an update. Here are the next steps for us. So it talks about where we are and where we're going next. If Adrian has been dormant for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it just might be no updates, obviously, this week. However, I did find, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, this property I think we should go take a look at. How easy is it for you to do that if you're teeing those up over the weekend? I had templates. All I had to do was add Adrian's name and a couple of specific points, and then send it off at 6:15. Schedule it for 6:15 delivery because I like to use the 2 words as promised at the beginning of everything I do. What's your name?
Sangeeta.
Sandeep?
Sangeeta.
Sangeeta. If I'm working with Sangeeta and I say, hey, in my value proposition to her, you're going to hear from me. Who here has heard an agent say, part of my value proposition is that I like to communicate? All of us do. If I can say to Sangeeta, part of my value proposition to her is every Monday morning at 6:30, you're going to hear, by 6:30, you're going to hear from me with what we've done over the last week and what our next steps are for the following week. And then I follow through on that, and every Monday at 6:15, because I like to be ahead of time, she gets an email that says, as promised. Every single week. What am I building with her? Trust, respect, consistency. I was here not too long ago. Actually, I was speaking in San Francisco, and I was talking about John Maxwell's 85-10-5. What he says there is 85% of people will fall short of expectations. I guarantee most of us in this room have had somebody in our lives not meet expectations with us over the last week. They said they would do something and they didn't. They promised us something and didn't follow through. So how can we elevate ourselves in the top 15%? The next 10 is those that meet expectations, and the top 5 are those that exceed expectations. So if I'm constantly coming with really great value to Sangeeta at 6:15 on a Monday, I'm at least meeting because I told her I would do it. I might be exceeding because I'm coming through with a lot of value in it as well. You see my point in this? That's one of the two. Number 2, she's going to hear from me on Thursday no matter what. If she's a buyer, I have an intention there to check in, see how she's doing, and also say, hey, I had some time open up on Saturday. I know there aren't any homes that we really want to move on yet. However, why don't we get out there and take a look at a couple just to make sure we're familiar with and comfortable with the area. How's it sound to you? That's my fish hook. Can we get back together face to face? Can I keep you in my world, keep you connected with me? Taking care of those that have already said yes to us. That's the 2 times per week. The 3, the 2 by 3, is if I haven't seen her in 3 weeks, I'm working my butt off to get back in front of her. Keep those that have said yes to you close. So what could that look like? And I want to hear from you on this. What could that look like if I wanted to get back together with someone who no homes have popped up that they want to see? Or that the listing itself is not moving? Why do I want to get in front of her? And how do I do that? What do you think? It's right up here. I need to re-engage her. I need to re-qualify her. If it's my seller, what's my intention with the meeting? I have 2 or 3. What do you think some intentions would be if she was a seller that we have not moved the property yet? It's been 3 weeks, we haven't seen each other, talked to each other, other than my updates.
It's to check in and assess where we're at.
Yeah. Are we still good, first of all? And second, in my professional opinion, here's the data that supports what we need to do next. I'm reselling her. In this market, should a house sit for 3 weeks? Average is what, 24 days right now, roughly? At least that's most of the Bay Area. About 24 days on average. If it hasn't sold in 3 weeks, something's wrong. It typically boils down to a couple of things. Marketing, access, or price. The price is usually the big winner. So we need to have a conversation. Whether or not a decision gets made in that moment when I'm sitting down with her in 3 weeks is irrelevant to me. I want it to happen. However, my main priority is, are we still good and are we still moving forward? And can I give her the information, the data, to support my professional opinion on what we should do next? So we're just re-engaging them, keeping them in our worlds. Number 2, leverage their wants and needs. Here's something that I get to use Sangeeta in a positive way for other things. If she's a buyer with me, can I show my database, which we'll talk about later too? Can I leverage what she's looking for to go find a potential right now seller? So let's say she's looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. We haven't seen each other, so we're meeting again, or it's the first time we've ever met. How would I leverage her wants and needs in this market right now? Remember, this entire conversation is about how do we find an additional sale this month. These things will lead to more sales in the future because we're going to build a bigger database, give more value. I'm talking about how could you all leave this office today, pick one of these things, and go find a sale this month. How can I leverage Sangeeta's needs or wants as a buyer to help build my business? How can I do that? I wanted to put a bunch of examples up here, however I want us to think about it. She's looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot house, roughly $850,000 to $1.1 million in a certain area. How can I leverage that?
You send a mail.
Could I?
In the area.
Could I send a mailer out to all the properties that match that description or the entire neighborhood, letting them know I'm working with a pre-qualified, ready-to-go buyer who's looking for a house just like yours in this area. Who do you know or are you considering selling right now? Is that a pretty simple mailer to send? It is. It takes a little bit of time to put it together, get it stuffed into envelopes and sent. Could I do that in person? Could I knock on every door? Could I make a call to every single one? Do we have access to all this data? Yes, we do. Can title reps get it for us? Can we go to a dialer system like a Mojo and have it run a neighborhood search for us and pull that info? Can we go share, against rules, how I used to do it, share cold resources with people? I used to take people to lunch to give me access to cold realty resources so I get 2,000 numbers at a time. There are very simple ways that don't cost us a lot of money or time to get the data that we need. Leveraging their wants and needs is about helping them while also helping us. Now let's say Sanjita has made an offer before in a specific neighborhood and she didn't get the property. Who here has been beat out on an offer anytime recently? I've been beat out hundreds of times, maybe dozens of times. Could I take the offer she wrote, redact any of the important personal information and go show it to people in the neighborhood? Yeah, I can. I'm not breaching any ethics there because I'm redacting all the stuff that talks about her. So I would walk up to a door and I would say, hi, my name is Michael. I'm a local real estate professional and I'm sorry to bother you. And I'm working with an amazing client named Sanjita. This is the offer she wrote on a property in this neighborhood for a house just like yours. And she is really eager to move into the neighborhood. So I'm curious, who do you know around you that might have a house like this that might be thinking about selling or that you'd like to see get out of the neighborhood? And I'll go talk to them. That's one of my scripts. Make them laugh a little bit, maybe they'll think a little bit. Maybe they'll go, huh, we've actually been thinking about it. I've got gold in my hand. She's willing to offer a very competitive price for a house like yours or somebody else's. Can we have a conversation? What's the likelihood that that person's gonna be wanting to sell right now? So I'm not saying you're gonna find an additional sale on every conversation you have. What I am saying is that could that person now go in my database? Well, hey, I'd love to stay in touch with you. One of the things I like to offer all my neighbors, and I do use those words, even though if I live in a different place, I think we're all neighbors on earth, so I use it. I want to provide you any value I can. One of the things I like to offer to my neighbors is a comprehensive, no strings attached evaluation on what your real estate holdings are doing right now. Real estate holdings versus your house or your home. I'm turning it into an investment to detach the emotion. I can drop that by, send it to you in a text or email. What would you prefer? I've got their address, I've got their name, I've already got a lot of their information. I might now have an email address. Part of this leads to a bigger database in the future. Some of it is going to find a sale right now. Gaining access to their SOI. If I'm working with Sanjita, could I ask her to introduce me to all the people she knows that's thinking about buying or selling? What do we know about a first-time home buyer? Who do they often get into conversations with? Family, other first-time home buyers. We tend to run in packs. When someone finds out, she might be on social media, she might be at work, she might be in her friends or family circles, talking about that she's in the process of looking for her first home. If I can infiltrate, I actually had that word on the screen before I deleted it and put gain access, because I thought infiltrate sounded a little bit worse. Infiltrating their database by giving value and asking for the favor, asking for the help. Sanjita, do you believe that I've been giving you 5-star service? Hopefully she says yes. If not, I'm going to dig deep into why not. If yes, perfect. I need a favor. Can I ask you a favor? Can we role play for a second? Sanjita, can I ask you a favor? As you probably know, the majority of my business is built on referrals from people I work with that I've been giving great service and results to. Do you feel like I've been doing that for you? We haven't got the house yet, however, so far have I served you at the level you desire?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the favor I'd have to ask for you is that anytime you know of somebody just like you that's thinking about buying their first home, could I count on you to introduce me?
Of course.
I really appreciate that so much. And just out of curiosity, who can you think of right now that might be thinking about buying their first house? And that's the conversation. She might come back and say, nobody. Great, no worries, I'm leaving it. It's off the table at the moment. I'm going back to her. I've done this dozens and dozens of times. I had one person send me 12 referrals in 30 days. Only 2 worked out. I don't care. 2 is better than 0. The other 10 are still in my database. Now, by the way, real quick note to this. If she sends me anybody, even if she doesn't, I'm going to thank her profusely. If she sends me anybody, she texts me later and says, hey, I was thinking about it. My coworker's thinking about buying a home. I am pouring love onto her right now and for a long time in the future. Gifts are going to show up at her house, or I like to send them to her work, especially if she works in an office setting, balloons and stuff like that. So people go, what's that? Oh, it's from my realtor. I mentioned that one of my people, somebody I know is thinking about buying a home, and he sent me all this stuff. Do what you can to get yourself bigger visibility. And now we've got a stronger relationship too. Leverage their database and make them an offer. Now, I'm a salesperson. I lean towards the side of the agent, even though I've been running real estate businesses for about a decade. When I say make an offer, I mean ask for permission from your broker first. However, what kind of offer could you make them that would get them to move now? You cannot, if you watched my promo video for this, I did say these words. You cannot force someone to buy or sell a house, can you? They either want to or they don't. They either find the right property or have the right intentions behind the sale, or they don't. However, if they're already ready, willing, and able, which we'll talk about in a second too, could an offer potentially get them to move a little faster? Could an offer potentially get them to refer you somebody a little bit faster? Again, ask permission. If I'm really looking to make an additional sale this month and I've got an active client working with me, can I make her an offer of, if you were able to refer somebody over to me this month who got a contract in the next 30 days, I'd be more than happy to credit back 0.5% of my commission due. I didn't say it, nobody recorded that. Could you do things like that? Could I get her thinking about what she could go and do for me? Potentially. My point is, think about a creative offer for you that makes sense, that's legal and ethical, to get someone to move just a little bit faster, whether that's moving themselves forward or helping you move forward with somebody else. I have given those types of deals to people. You're working with me right now, I know you have a large database. How would you like to save a little bit of money on your purchase? Tell me more. If you were able and willing to refer someone over to me right now that's thinking about buying or selling a property, and I was able to go into contract with them in the next 30 days, I will be happy to offset the cost of this transaction for you. Happy to. So I just turned one sale into two. I'm okay taking a little bit less money on each one, or one of them, in order to. Another example is his name was Keith. Keith was an investor. He had multiple properties to sell. I met with him and his partner. They had 7 other agents or brokers meeting with them to take the listing on. The $700,000 listing in my area, which my average price point back then was $417,000. So it was a big deal for me. And I asked him point blank, what would make you move with me? Because I know we see the value of each other. The conversation was really just informal because we had talked enough at that point. Keith, I know that we see value in each other. I know that we both believe this is probably the right fit, and you've got someone else offering a totally different commission structure on this. What would get you to move with me right now? And he said, if you could do it for this, I would hire you. And in my mind, the salesperson goes, I got him. Do I want to do it at that price? I'm not sure. However, the business side of me came out and said, how can I get more out of this? And so I made him the deal. If you hire me on this one, I will do it at this price, so long as we meet 3 conditions. Number 1, when I do a great job, which I will, you're going to allow me to have all access to the rest of your properties in your portfolio to sell for you at a full commission, and you're not going to tell a living soul that I did this one at a discount. He agreed, we shook hands, moved on, sold it, sold the other 2. I was making an offer to somebody to get access to more of their stuff. 3 sales totaling $2.4, I think, million to drop my commission on 1 sale. Simple. That was an offer. So you can start thinking creatively, how can I get access to more and more transactions? We call these MOFRs. Make offer for immediate response. What kind of offer can you make today that will get them to move right now? MOFR. Make offer for immediate response. This should apply to all your marketing, all your prospecting, all your transactions, your negotiations. You can find a way to put a MOFR into everything. And if you don't think you do that on a daily basis already, you do. If you're dating, you're making offers for immediate response every time you talk to someone that you want to date. You are doing it constantly. I do it with my kids every day. Make offer to get them to move their butts and make their bed. We can play Yahtzee. My kid loves Yahtzee. We can play Yahtzee as soon as. Offer, response. Constantly. We're doing it over and over again. All right. Go back to your past appointments. So that was just about your current people. Love on them. Get in front of them, engage them, requalify them, get them moving forward. Now go back to your past appointments. Who here has been turned down by a buyer or seller? All of us. If you haven't, you will. There's somebody in your database right now that said no for whatever reason. And if they haven't hired someone else since then, they were a yes when you met them. How can you make them a yes again? Diana Kokoska used to say this in bold. They are a yes when you walk up to the front door. It is your job to turn it from a conditional yes to an absolute yes. What she means there is they didn't invite you to their house. They didn't agree to meet with you at Starbucks or at the office to talk about their buying or selling needs if they weren't at least some level of a yes. There was conditions attached. I don't know you very well yet. I don't like you very well yet. I don't trust you very well yet. Your job is to turn that condition into an absolute, or take it away and turn it into an absolute yes. So they said yes at some level. They met with you about their buying needs. So what kept them from moving? These are questions that you'll want to ask yourself about your past appointments or even prospects at this point. Number one, what kept them from moving forward? Do you have clarity around that? Did you ask them? Is it uncomfortable to ask somebody why they just turned you down? Usually in the dating world, which I haven't dated for a long time, however I remember it, you'd be like, okay. I wasn't saying they're going, tell me a little bit more about that. What is it that you don't see in me that makes you not want to date me? That was weird. That'd be weird. Uncomfortable, vulnerable. In a business situation, don't you want that feedback? They're a transaction. They're a person. I'm separating the two. They're a person. They're also a potential transaction. They're a business relationship. Ask them the question. At this point, I can tell we're not going to be in business together yet. I always throw in yet. I'll set the stage for the future. Would you mind just giving me 2 more minutes of your time so I can gather a little bit more information from you? What is it that's keeping you from wanting to move forward with my business or myself right now? What are some things that I could have done or could have brought with me today that would have made you feel more comfortable with hiring me and my services? You do that in email after the fact, you're not going to get a response. You can text them later, it's a little bit passive, I think. Or you can directly look them in the eyes or over the phone and ask them. If you have that information, could you go back to those people with that knowledge in place and say, hey, last time we spoke, Adrian, you'd mentioned that XYZ wasn't quite to your liking or fit. If I was able to take that off the table, would you consider moving forward at this point? I don't know what his thing is. I can use whatever he told me, though. Commission was too high. Personality, I can't change that, so I'm probably just going to leave Adrian to the side. Whatever it was that he said, can I go back with that? Absolutely. So what kept them from moving forward? Knowing that information is important. What would get them to respond today? You use that information to get them to respond. Adrian, last time we talked, you said that my commission was a little bit too high. I get that. Even though I think that you saw the value in the stuff that I provide, the services I provide, if I was willing to do X, Y, or Z, could we have at least one more conversation? I've used that script and people have said yes, some have said no, some have not said anything at all. This is not about getting a response from everybody, it's a potential response from everybody. I have a quote that I have typed up on a piece of paper next to my monitor that says, not every contact will be a game changer, every contact could be. All it is a reminder to myself that no matter what I'm doing, this could be the relationship, this could be the opportunity, this could be the thing that propels me so far into the future. 99.99% of them are not. I just need that little glimmer. Who here has seen Dumb and Dumber? So you're saying there's a chance. She basically says 1 in a billion chance that he's going to be able to date her. And she says, I'm talking a lot about dating today. She says, about 1 in a billion. He says, so you're telling me there's a chance. That's all I need. I need to know that there's a chance out there because that's what's going to keep me moving forward. I can sift through a lot of dirt to find the gold. I'm okay with that because I know that's part of the process. So in relation to this, what would get them to respond? You sift through the dirt with them. You know what they think is gold or what they see as gold. Can you provide some of that for them? And then what would make them move forward now? Make the offer. Make the offer and see if they'll move. It's all about urgency. Would some of this help you in the future? Would some of this help you with your database that right now is not quite ready? What's keeping them from being ready? What would potentially make them ready? Some things you can't change, can you? I'm not willing to pay 7.84% on my mortgage right now. I'm hard and fast around 7.5 or less. Heard that. Okay? I can't change that. Could I influence it though a little bit? by providing data, support, options, buy downs, things like that. Of course, I'm gathering information to be able to put together an option for them that might fit their needs. And then what would make them move forward now? You gotta ask. I liken the ask when you're trying to get somebody or influencing someone to say yes to you in a business transaction as being out on a limb. You're very vulnerable at that moment. And most of us fear rejection at some level. I'm here to tell you that you're going to be rejected a lot. In little things and in big things. It's not your wife, it's not your brother, it's not your favorite uncle, it's not your kid that's rejecting you, it's someone that has a business proposition with you. Take yourself out of it, it's just about the connection of the value. That's it. Take yourself out of that. And be willing to take it. It happens. I can legitimately say I've been rejected in this business, I don't know, 10,000 times? Because I made 3,000 calls a month. I got rejected. I talked to about 600 people per month, so I probably got rejected 560, 70 times a month. On little levels, no, I don't want to meet with you. No, now is not a good time. No, we're not ready. That's a slight rejection. Okay. You build up a little thicker skin the more you go through it. If you can detach yourself from it, it becomes a lot easier. All right. What does raw mean? Step number 4. Most of us have heard this in a different rearrangement of the letters. RWA is usually what people say, ready, willing, able. This is ready, able, and willing. This is all about getting yourself in front of the people that want to move now, that you don't know yet. Or maybe you do, you just don't have a great relationship yet. You haven't met with them as an appointment yet. Give people who are ready to move now a reason to work with you now. This is very similar to the last 2 slides as far as the method. It's more about putting yourself in front of the people that are most likely to buy or sell a house in the next 30 days. So before we talk about what those could be, I want to hear from you. What are some options for us if we wanted to go make a sale today? First of all, do we believe that there are sales being done every day right now?
Yes.
Good. We don't need to believe it because it's fact. If there are sales being made every single day right now, why aren't they with you? There's a lot of reasons. They've got a really great friend or realtor that they've worked with for years. They don't know you is usually the big reason. They don't know what you bring to the table. If we believe that there's a sale happening every single day right now, how do we put ourselves in front of those people more often? So who wants to move right now? Who can we think of that wants to move right now? Maybe you have a name in your mind. Maybe you know somebody that you need to reach out to today. What types of people want to move right now? And potentially, who's trying to? I think you might know where I'm going with this. Some of you might know where I'm going with this. Who has either wanted to move relatively recently and didn't? Who wants to move right now? Who's trying to move right now? What are some options or examples?
Life event, right? So if you have a baby coming, eventually they want a bigger place.
Absolutely.
Or, someone that got newly divorced, or I don't know, something.
They call them the 5 Ds.
Yeah.
I will forget at least 1 or 2 of them. Death, divorce, diapers, diamonds, and there's always a 5th I always forget. The new job. I don't know. It's something else. Point is, there are people out there that want to move right now. Do you have access to them? Do you have access to the person, or do you have access to a conduit to those people?
It could be destination.
Destination. There, I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
Destination's the 5th D. Divorce attorneys. Do they know somebody right now that is thinking about selling or needs to sell because they're going through a divorce? Probably. Not all. I was in Portland, Oregon. We had a private mastermind group. There was about 20 of us in the room. We were having a mastermind around what are some things that could get us in front of a better referral source, a better referral network. And David is his name, David G. He said, I've been really wanting to go to divorce attorneys. So we had this quick 5-minute conversation around it as a group, some ideas, some options around that. And he said, oh, those are good ideas. Yeah, I probably just need to start talking to them. And I'm his coach. And I'm sitting over there just smirking going, okay. He said he needs to. He didn't say he will. So I asked him, hey David, what's your plan on when you're going to reach out to these divorce attorneys? oh, well, I want to research them first. I want to do all these things. He's a very analytical person. So I want to get my script together. I want to get this together. I want to get that together. I said, okay, great. On our next break, I went out of the room. I Googled top divorce attorneys in Portland, Oregon. I called 3 of them. And I set an appointment with the third one for the next day for him. I walked back in the room and said, David, hey, how's that plan going? He goes, oh, I'm not about it. Well, hey, you have an appointment tomorrow at 10 o'clock with a divorce attorney in Portland. He says, what are you talking about? I go, I called 3 from Google. 1 didn't answer, 1 told me no, and the third one said, oh, let me get you to the managing attorney. Okay. Super easy. Now, did anything come from that? No. Very transparent and honest with you, nothing came from that. It wasn't about that, it was about taking action in the moment. Now he's doing it more and he's actually doing pretty well with it. I take no credit for that. All I did was say, it's easier than you think. Just go do it. So referral sources through people that know people who are thinking about buying or selling right now. Who else? Who's trying to move right now? That's not represented. There's not a lot of them in the market right now, however they are out there, for sale by owners. There's not a lot. I've seen markets where there are dozens, I've seen it where there's 0 for months. That's why it's not up on the list. It's an option though. The next for sale by owner that pops up, I'd be on it like a hawk. Now Gary Keller won't say this in public. I've never heard him say it personally. I've heard someone that has heard him say it. If he went into a market today, he would be the king of expireds and for sale by owners because he would do them for free. Now, we can't do that. He won't do that. Because he wants to take market share to generate more sales from every opportunity he has. If you went and took a for sale by owner or it expired, that's another one. They just came off the market a month ago. Maybe they came off the market a year ago and they still have the desire to sell and they just haven't been talked to. Maybe they haven't been given the right offer. The market's different today than it was 12, 24 months ago. If we go back to when people were coming off the market expired in 2020, 2021, if you went back to them in 2023 and said, hey, how would you like to get 60% more for your house than you thought you could in 2020? Some would go, yeah, that sounds good. Not all, some. He would do it for free. Now, again, this is all secondhand knowledge, so maybe he didn't say this. And I tend to agree with it, though. If I went and took a discounted or I put a special incentive in on the for sale by owner, because the reason they're not hiring an agent because they don't see the value in an agent to pay them $60,000 or $50,000. If I can make it an offer for immediate response that they would take me up on, could I leverage the heck out of that to make a sale that month in addition to that listing? We talked about open houses. If I'm doing great open houses, people that walk in that door, not all of them, some of them are right now buyers. And many of them are unrepresented. They might say they are, they're not. They know an agent. That agent sucks. Sorry, that's the truth. Most agents suck. Not here. Not there. Most agents are order takers. Most agents don't have a great, strong value proposition. Most agents don't communicate well. Most agents don't negotiate hard on their behalf. Most agents just go, great, you're approved. Let me know when you want to see a house. I'll open the door for you. That's not what they're saying. That's what they're doing. So if you're doing amazing open houses and you're gathering information and you're engaging at a high level and you're asking the right questions, is there potential that someone's going to walk in that door that says, I want to buy this one? And now you're in that situation, that weird gray area, because you're in that dual representation potentially. Or maybe they don't want to buy that one. They do want to buy though. And could you be the person that helps them buy the house down the street? Absolutely. Gary does say that every listing you take should turn into 2 additional pieces of business, 1 buyer, 1 seller minimum. I believe that, if you're doing the right things to market it. For sale by owners, old expireds. I'm you. One of the things I'm absolutely doing is I'm going and pulling any expired, which there are very few of them for a while too. Market's hot, or at least leaning towards seller. They're out there. I'd go back 3 years. I'd go back 4 years. And I would go and I'd knock on their door. And I would make them an offer. After asking some questions, I'd make them an offer. If they want to sell, we can get it sold. That's a sell right now. Potentially another buyer, potentially another seller. So this could turn into more than just an additional sale per month when you do these things. Then what do you have to offer that would make them move now or use you? We already kind of talked about that. Just to go a little deeper on that really quickly is, what sets you apart? Part of this presentation, when I do the longer version, is about your skill set, about your buyer and seller consultations or presentations, about all those things. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on it today. However, what sets you apart is the question. Why am I different than you? Why are you different than the person next to you? Why are we better and or different? And I do believe I'm better than 99% of the agents out there. I believe that. Through experience, through the way I operate, and that sounds arrogant, I get it, I believe it. So what sets me apart? What sets you apart? If you're thinking about it, I'd encourage you to write down just a couple of words. What truly sets you apart from the competition that they might meet with before or after you? How are you different and or better? You don't have to be better. You do need to be different. You can become better. So I'll share with you just a little bit of mine really quickly. I've already shared with you the 2x3 communication. When I say part of my value proposition is communication, that's where most agents leave it. I'm going to communicate with you at a high level. I'm going to tell you specifically how we're going to communicate so you never have to ask me the dreaded question, dreaded on my side, what's next or any news. You're never going to have to be left wondering what's going on. What people crave when they're hiring someone at this kind of price points or this kind of commission level is simplicity, clarity, and comfort. At least that's my belief. How can I make it simple for you? How can I make it clear for you? And how can I make you comfortable throughout the process? Does anybody else get really agitated if they have a representative in anything? It could be small purchase, big purchase, when they leave you hanging and you have to call them and find out what's going on. Does that agitate anybody else in this room? My newish car is in the shop right now. It's under warranty. There were some things I didn't like about the trim work on it. I said, well, it's an expensive car. I want you to fix it. And so I took it in, and they were great through the entire appointment. And then they were supposed to follow up. And they were supposed to tell me about the body shop taking it on to do these little cosmetic things. I waited 3 weeks. I finally called, and they're, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. We didn't see your email. I said, okay, well, that's fine. I can give you a little bit of grace. So I dropped it off. Jonathan, the rep, has been fantastic calling me. However, he promised me he would call me last Thursday, or actually last Tuesday, because I was out of town. I'll call you on Tuesday. My goal is to have it back to you on Wednesday, because I know you get back into town on Wednesday. Tuesday comes and goes. Wednesday comes and goes. I call him on Thursday and I go, Jonathan, where's my car? I really want my car. I miss it. I miss it. It's my baby. He goes, oh, I'm so sorry. He's on my bad side now. He can earn his way back into my good graces. However, I am so agitated that my car has been gone for 2 weeks. When I thought I'd have it back last Wednesday, if he just would have called me and said, hey, Michael, I got some bad news. They need a little bit longer because I have to order this part for the fender or the panel, and it's likely going to take about 4 or 5 more days. I'd be like, okay. I'll still miss the car. I won't be mad at Jonathan. Do you see my point? Your clients are the same way. So specific communication. Here's another one. And I've probably shared this in this room before. If I was meeting, what's your name, sir?
John.
John, thank you, John. If I was meeting with John as a potential prospect or potential client, we sat down, we went through our consultation together, one of my value propositions to John is going to say, John, it's a question first. John, what do you know about what other agents do in order to prospect on behalf of their clients like you? What do you know about that? Okay, that's fair. I wouldn't expect you to, John. John, may I share with you what most agents do on behalf of their clients?
Sure.
Most agents will meet with the client the first time. They'll gather some information on what they're looking for. They'll program it into a system, what we call a multiple listing service, and then they'll wait for that client to raise their hand and say, hey, can you show me this house? Does that sound like a really high level of service for you, John?
Sounds pretty robotic.
Pretty robotic. You could do that on Zillow, couldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So John, here's my commitment to you. I am going to work on your behalf. And let me explain what that exactly means. If you come to my office between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, I'm going to be either in my office or in this room prospecting, looking for sellers that have houses like what you want. If I'm not in this room or in my office, I better be in the bathroom. Because if I'm not in one of those 3 places, I expect you to fire me on the spot. Does that sound like what you want in an agent, someone proactively looking for properties that match your needs?
Yes.
Sign here, John. Pay me 3%. It's not as simple as that. That is the conversation, though. Now, could you take my value proposition of prospecting on your behalf, being here and committing to doing the work, and replace it with whatever you do? John, I know you're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot house for between $850 and $1.1 million here in these neighborhoods. John, you won't find me in my office very often. However, I'll bet you if you're driving around those neighborhoods, you're going to catch me at some point because I'm going to be knocking on every single door. John, I'm going to go do as many open houses in those neighborhoods as I possibly can to meet the neighbors who are thinking about selling so I can bring them back to you. Do Do you see how you could insert any value proposition into that conversation? Are we doing that at a high level? Now, only one person, his name was George, ever tested me. I've had hundreds of clients. George literally walked in the front door of my office. I used to stand in the training room, which is the glass enclosed room, and I'm, I don't know, 75 feet away from the front desk. I can see a line of sight right to it. I've got my headset on, I'm on the phones. By the way, I'm not calling only on John's behalf. I will be honest with John and say, John, I have about a dozen clients. I will do this for you every single week, every single day. I do have other clients I do it on behalf of too. I'm standing there and I see George walk in the front door with a manila envelope in his hand. He walks up to the front desk. I see them look at me and I go, I wave to George. George goes, kind of just talks to the front desk a little bit and then just turns and walks out the door. So I called George later and say, hey George, I saw that pop by the office. Is there anything you need from me, anything I can do? He's like, oh, and he just made up some excuse of why he was there. He was testing to see if I was actually in the office. He had nothing better to do. He wanted to see if I was honest and truthful. I was, he was a client, we bought a house together. If you say it, do it. Write your value proposition out and then reevaluate it that day, the next week, and ask yourself a very transparent question. Am I fully committed to doing this? Now, Eric knows this about me. I have a saying that I got from somebody else, a mentor of mine, that 1 + 1 does not equal 2. That's linear math. 1 + 1, it's about strategy. 1 + 1 can equal 3, 4, 5, and what we're talking about in the context of this is how many wins can you get out of everything? Could I use my value proposition to get John to hire me more likely than to hire somebody else? Yes, win number 1. Could I use my commitment to John to be able to follow up with him and reinforce the value and the trust and the respect based on the activities I've done that day or that week? Yes, win number 2. Could I use the accountability of George that walked in my office to check in on me as keeping me in the right place doing the right activities? Win number 3. Does doing that activity based on the accountability and the commitment I made to George or John get me more clients, more prospects, more appointments? Win number 4, 5, and 6. Do you see my point? If you are making the commitment to a buyer or seller that you're going to knock on 100 doors per week, does that help them and you? Does that build your value proposition, build your database, build your potential for making an additional sale this month? Absolutely. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. How much more can I get out of this? So you notice that Jasmine was sitting here earlier. She was taking some pictures. She was taking some videos. I think Eric did. I think Harshita might have, or she will. I asked them before this, I said, I need you to take some very specific and strategic pictures and videos. I'm okay with you walking right in front of me and recording the group or recording my face. I won't even look at the camera, I'll just look straight ahead. Why? Because I'm gonna send all of this to our marketing company. I'm gonna have them take it and turn it into 4, 5, or 6 different promotional pieces that we're gonna be able to use on behalf of KW Advisors to put us out into the industry, out into our marketplace, and show all the other agents and all the other prospects and all the other clients out there that KW Advisors is here to play big. And we're educating each other, we're collaborating with each other. 1 + 1 will = 20. Do that in everything you do. Ask yourself the question, how can I turn this one conversation, how can I turn this one option, this one event into multiple wins? And be willing to look dumb at times. If you record a video and you don't like it and you send it out there, don't worry about it. It's buried an hour later. Don't worry about it. Your next one will be a little bit better. Do you really care? Now, if it's really bad, maybe don't put it out there. If it's offensive, maybe don't put it out there. However, if it's good, it's just not great, put it out there. We'll talk about that in a second. All right. Digging up gold by DMing. Definition of DMing, just because my kids asked me last night. They were making up all these weird words. Direct messaging. I pulled one of these things from the Agents Breakthrough Summit in the fall that was hosted by your office at the Fremont Convention Center, I believe. This is all about meeting people where they are, even if it's behind an app. Do you know that the majority of people, they say 80%, I don't know, I can't verify that, spend 80% of their free time absorbing media. Social media, YouTube, other video content. I was at a team meeting recently. Our marketing coordinator walked out the back, and afterwards she came to me and said, hey, videos are important. I go, what are you talking about? Well, I walked out the back of the team meeting and looked forward, and I saw about half the people in the room on their phones watching videos. Well, first of all, the team meeting must have sucked. Second, people go to video. Now, we're talking about video a little bit. I'm talking DMs. The videos will come up in this as well. The point is they consume a lot of media. Are you in front of your databases? Now, some of us might have really small social media followings or databases. That's okay. We'll talk about building it in a second. Regardless of what size it is, just focus on starting to put stuff out in front of them. Now, this is about going direct. I'll give you 3 ways to do this. The A to Z program. We've been doing this. I've been doing this in my business for about 7 or 8 years, I think now. I still do it today. The A to Z program is very simple. The goal is to get a direct message in front of everybody you're connected with on your social media platforms. Now, when I say everybody, I put it in quotes because you're going to rank them. Putting a message in front of them every month. Why it's called A to Z? Because the alphabet's easy to follow. In Facebook, which is still bigger than all, you can sort them on your desktop, not necessarily on your phone, I don't think. On your desktop, you can sort your Facebook contacts or friends list in alphabetical order. So the goal here is to put a message to all the A's on day 1. The goal is to put a message in front of all the B's on day 2, and so on and so forth, and you can make it through them in about a month, a little bit more if you're just doing Monday through Friday. My rules for this for myself is it's no more than 15 minutes per day. I don't care if I don't get through the entire letter. Because I'm going through the A's and I'm looking for who do I have the best connection with or the best opportunity with, and they're getting the first messages. This is all just about directly connecting. Now, Adrian and I were talking earlier about he's reaching out to people. I don't know if that was via DM or text or phone, and asking them to go to coffee. That's one method. If I see someone on my friends list or my following on Instagram or my following on LinkedIn, between the 3, I think I've got 20-something thousand people I'm connected with. That's too many to go through every single month. I'm not going to do it. So I'm scrolling through, and who can I get this in front of? You find the ones that are most important to you. Some you'll be able to ask for coffee. Some you'll just say, hey, I don't think we know each other and we're connected. How are you? Whatever that, it could be as simple as that. If you have something of value or content, though, that can become better. How would you feel, though? I want you to put yourself in their shoes. How would you feel if you were on the other side and all of a sudden someone you don't really know, maybe you even do, they DM you and it's instantly a pitch? Who here has that every day? It's annoying. I don't want it. I instantly turn them off. Unfollow, stop looking at their stuff, don't engage. I don't like it. So don't be that person. Put something in front of them that matters. Now, if you're scrolling, I also have a rule of this. I only scroll for 3 minutes at a time on social media. I will not scroll for more than 3 minutes. I might do it 6 times today. I will not sit on social media and just do this constantly. I hate it. I believe for me it's a waste of time. What I do for 3 minutes is I look for certain people and what's going on in their lives. I have favorites lists, so I only see certain people's posts. I unfollow a lot of people or mute a lot of people, so I only see certain people. And if I see something going on in their life, like death, divorce, the 5 Ds, I might message them. Just shoot a quick message to them directly. So that's through the scrolling piece. The A to Z, though, is just picking a letter and going through it every day. Pick a number that you're willing to commit to. You can always add to it. Can this go back to step 1 and adding on your calendar? It's on mine. 15 minutes a day at 7 a.m. Usually I'm driving, which is not safe. Probably shouldn't do that. If I'm in my office, it'll be at the office 15 minutes. DM, 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 DM. I can usually get out about 12 to 24 in a 15-minute period of time if I'm copying and pasting. Pretty simple. About 25, 30% of them respond. About 20% of those actually matter, meaning something actually comes from it, even a conversation. The rest of them are just kind of a real quick exchange. That's fine. Have I registered back in their brain? Yes. If you're looking for stuff on social media, if you know things about people, could the direct messages be a little bit more direct? Direct. Could they be more purposeful? Could they be more about what they're looking to accomplish or do? Yes, they could. Who here is thinking of something that they could send out today, right now? Don't overthink it. I see some heads nodding. Don't overthink it. Birthdays are a great one. I don't follow the A to Z program on the birthday one. I just follow birthdays. I used to. Every single person that had a birthday would get a direct message video from me that said happy birthday, and then I would post it on their wall. Reason for that is because I want them to see it personally. Very few people are DMing on birthdays. A lot of people are posting on your walls. 100, 200, 300 people are posting happy birthday. They might just go through quickly and like it. All of a sudden they're scrolling through their happy birthday messages. On the DM they see it very easily on their wall. All of a sudden they see my ugly face, so it's saying, happy birthday! Or I'm singing. Sometimes they'll sing depending on who they are. If they're up in the top level of my database, they get me, I sing to them. Just to set myself apart. Now who else sees that? Some of their friends. So this is just about awareness. Number 2, story viewers, engagers. This is what I pulled from the Agent Summit. I've been using this for the last 5 or so months. If you're posting real estate related content on your stories, which I believe you should, every single person that views it should get a direct message from you. Yeah, that sounds like a lot. It doesn't have to be every single person. Imagine you get 50 viewers on your story. Now, if you're Diana, you might get 1,000 viewers on your story. That might be a lot of people. You could still scroll through that and pick the ones that matter most, right? So let's say I engage on John's social media story. All of a sudden I get a DM from John that just says, hey Michael, thanks so much. I saw that you saw my story about XYZ. Is there anything I can do for you? Do you have any questions about that? Especially if it's educational or information in purpose. I might go, ugh, I'm not gonna respond. I might go, no thank you. I might go, actually, I'm looking for gold. I'm just trying to dig up a little bit more gold. How long would that take you? I only post on my stories maybe, I should do it more. I probably do it 4 or 5, maybe 6 times a week. I don't do all business. I do a lot of personal. If it's business, I'm looking through and who looked at it. And I'm looking for certain names. I'm looking for certain categories. If I don't know them, I might go see who they are. Might not. I might just send a message. Just, hey, thanks for taking a look. Did this resonate? What can I do for you? How you been? I'm just looking for gold in the messages. Simple and very, very fast. All right, last one, guys. Show your database that you're the answer. All right, so before we, well, actually, I'll wait. Highlight your client's needs, successes, and stories. This is all about making them the heroes, making them the sympathetic character, not you. A mentor and coach of mine really, really bags on, and I think he bags on too much. Bags on the posts of, I just sold this property for $12,000 above asking or 10% above asking, because it makes the agent look like the hero. Because it doesn't talk about the person, the story of the client. The highlighting your client's needs, we've already talked about that. In this context, if I'm working with Sanjita and she's looking for a certain thing, I'm going to post that on my social media and I'm going to put her at the center of the story. We used to call this a I have a buyer post. So we're working together. She's looking for something very specific. She's very qualified, already pre-approved for a loan, all those things. My post is going to sound something like this. I might not use her full name. I won't use her full name. I'll either use first name, last initial, or just her first name, or Mrs. or Miss last name. I would say something along the lines of, hey friends, I'm working with Sanjita. She's looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house here in Fremont, 1,500 square feet in these neighborhoods, fully pre-approved, ready to go, wants to make an offer right now. Who do you know that I can introduce her to get her into a great home? That could be DMs, that could be, we're talking social media or you're posting. This could also be in your database that you have inside a command that you could email to, if you have them segmented well enough. I'm really big on the more data we have on people, the more we can segment our databases, the more targeted we can get. So if I've got 100 people that live in this various area, because I've got them tagged in a certain way, I'm gonna put that in front of those 100 people. If it's a buyer, they're not gonna have a house to sell necessarily for me. However, now I've just shown them what I do for my clients. If they are someone that knows somebody or is somebody that might want to sell and has a house like that in the area, great. It's good for Sanjita, it's good for me. Highlight their needs. What do they need? What do they want? Let me go put that in front of my database. Because it might just raise an antenna for somebody that says, I've been thinking about it, we should talk to Michael. The reason this is step 6 is because this is not a shot in the dark. It's more of a blast. I'm not controlling it as much, whereas I am controlling knocking on the door, making the phone call, putting an offer in front of somebody. I'm more just building awareness. So the reason I left this one for last is because this is probably not going to find you a sale today. This could absolutely find you a sale in the next couple months, 6 months. It could find you dozens over the course of the next couple of years. When I did the A to Z program and this combined, I started averaging 1.5 sales per month after about 8 months. I track everything, by the way, everything. About 1.5, there's one month where I did 4 transactions directly from this and Facebook A to Z. I didn't have a lot of Instagram back then. Those 2 things, 4 sales in 1 month, just by constantly connecting with people. Over the course of time, about 1.5 average. Who here would love to have another 1.5 transactions? Yeah, by being on social media. I know some people out there that'll sell 100 houses this year exclusively through social media. Exclusively. I'll never be that person. I won't say never, I'll probably not ever be that person because I don't want to be on it that much. That's okay, you don't have to be. Communicate to your database, get it in front of them. We talked about taking a flyer earlier and putting it in front of people that you're working with somebody or that you've got an offer, whatever that is. Put it in front of your database. Tony DeCello, I think it was, used to, every time he would make a sale, whether a purchase or listing sale, he would get a flyer created and he would send it to his entire database. I think it was Tony DeCello. It was hundreds of flyers every single month, hundreds and if not thousands every single month. It was 25, 30 years ago. So it would be, Tony did it again, and it would show the house, and it would have a little bit of details about the sale itself and the people, and you'd have it folded, a little sticker on it, stamped and addressed, and sent off to everybody in his database. You could do that. That could be in a postcard. You could use our marketing company or your own for that. You could do all these things. You could also just send an email. You could also just send a DM. You could also just send a text or make a phone call. My point is keep it really easy on yourself until you have the resources, the consistency, the leverage to do it at a higher scale. I'm right now investigating those letter stuffing, folding and stuffing machines, $80,000, because I want one for our company, for some of our centralized services. We're not going to do it because we want to profit share first. I'm looking at them because I have a program I'm building with 8 of our people across the company right now to help us generate more opportunities for both our leadership and our agents, and it's going to be through mailing. I'm looking at it, researching it, got the plan in place, and I'm going, man, I can spit out 10,000 of those a week. Okay. Marketing works. Who here knows what McDonald's is? I think about McDonald's a lot because I drive by at least 10 billboards on the way here of McDonald's. My kids know if they see a quarter of a golden arch, McDonald's, because they've seen it so many times. My point is, are you putting yourself in front of enough people? Could you do this stuff over and over again over time, building a massive presence and awareness? Absolutely. The last one I've already kind of talked about. Ask them for help. One of the greatest ways to get someone endeared with you or closer to you is to ask them for help. Now, do we go to a stranger and ask them for a big favor? We might ask them to, I don't know, something really small. Can't even think of anything. I'm thinking of Dumb and Dumber again. When he asks the lady to watch his stuff while he goes inside and gets changed to buy a magazine, and she steals all the stuff. Okay, you might ask a stranger a small thing. You don't ask a stranger a big favor. I wouldn't ask John for a referral the first time I talk to him. Not necessarily, depends on the conversation. I'm not asking a client, I'm not asking my database to help me unless I've built some sort of relationship there. So if you're communicating with your database, you're putting out your life to them, you're sharing valuable content or information with them, we're talking social media at this point, would it be okay for you to put on there, I'm working with Sanjita, looking for this, highly qualified, pre-approved, ready to go, making an offer, willing to make an offer right now for the right property, I need your help. Could I send direct messages to people asking them for help if I have a good enough relationship? I already asked Adrian for a favor today. I heard him say something out of the corner of my ear, that sounds weird, out of my ear, a little ear, and I said, actually it's big, I said, I'm gonna need that on video later. Can we do a quick video after this? He agreed, I'm not gonna hold him to it. However, that's a favor, and maybe we'll bond over that. Ask people for favors as long as you're giving value first. Does everybody in this room have somebody they could call today and say, I could really use your help? And then ask for a referral. Or ask for help around getting into a social sphere. Or ask for help around who might they know that I could bring value to. I bet. Does everybody also have a lot more people in their database that they would have to call and not talk business at all because they don't have that relationship yet? And it would be very presumptuous and arrogant to ask for a referral when you haven't even given them value in a relationship first. I use my sister as an example. If I called her right now, she wouldn't answer. She's a teacher, so she's teaching kids. If I called her though and she answered, I could say these words and probably get yelled at a little bit, however, it would still be okay. Say, Emily, don't need to talk to you. I do need a referral though. Who do you know that wants to buy or sell a house right now? And she'd probably cuss me out a little bit and say bad words to me, and then she would think about it. And if she knew somebody, would she give it to me? She absolutely would. Do I have friends like that? Do I have past clients like that? Absolutely. Do I have other people in my world that if I called right now and said that, they'd go, you're an ass, and not answer my phone call anymore? Absolutely. You have to know your audience. It applies to phone calls, the texts you send, the DMs you send, the posts you make, all those things. Now, the last one on there, oh, actually, nope. Did I skip the take mass community? I did. It was on the DM one. Take mass posts and turn them into micro conversations. That's like the stories. That's also like your posts. If someone comments on a post of yours, or if you see someone's post, those are the mass posts. Those are the mass communications. Go direct message them. I will often see someone post something. I may have already touched on this briefly, so I'll be fast. I'll see someone post something, especially if it's a life event, especially if it's something bigger, or even just interesting. I'll take that I'll comment, because they like to see that. It makes them feel good having a lot of comments. It's an ego thing, I get it, I have it too. I will take that though and I'll DM them, especially if I don't have them in my phone as an actual contact. I will DM them a question about it. An example that's relatively recently was someone went to Europe and went to certain places I really want to go to, and all I did was took it off and took it into direct messages and said, hey, I see that you were just here, that's awesome, how was it? I've always wanted to go. That's how you can take these big conversations that are in comment sections or posts and turn it into one-on-one communication. Now that's about a trip. Could it also be about one of the 5 Ds? Hey, I saw that you posted that you might be going through this or doing this. First of all, is there anything I can do for you? If it's something that needs that. Or hey, what information or what resources do you need that I could potentially provide for you? Now I'm taking it from a bigger posting down to a one-on-one conversation specific to value or opportunity for that. That may not generate a sale today. Will it generate a relationship? Possibly. Could that generate a sale or multiple over the course of time? Absolutely. My whole goal here has been to give you and show you some things that you could go do right now. None of it's novel. A couple things in here you may not have heard before. All of it's about activities focused on who you have right now, who's ready right now, and what can you do about that to increase your presence, your value, and your opportunity with them. That's all. So the bonus, last piece, and I'll get you out of here. Actually, I'm gonna have time for questions and answers, any dialogue you'd like to have after this, so stick around if you'd like to, no offense if you don't. Talking about database, I wanted to throw this in there because as I was preparing for this, and I talk about this a lot anyways, so well, what if someone has a really tiny database? What if their command database or their CRM database is only 30 people? What if they're not really into social media, or they're not really into it at a high level yet, or maybe they just have a small database there? Okay, build it. How do we build a database? There's a lot of different ways. Everything we've talked about now, all the doors knocked, the phone calls made, the text sent, the DMs, all those things can build a bigger database over time. What I'm talking about here specifically is I do believe social media is one of the most underutilized assets in our industry for making sales. How I did this, by the way, I have 3 Facebook accounts. One I had for 2 days and I abandoned it because I thought it was dumb. That was in 2008. Second one I had for 3 weeks. Don't know how to get into it anymore because I abandoned it because I thought it was dumb. Finally, I said, okay, this is where people are. I'm going to meet them where they are. So I got my 3rd one. That's Michael Putnam now. I think it's saying it doesn't matter. I started adding the normal people I know, going and sending friend requests, getting some, that kind of stuff. People saw me on there, oh, Michael, you're finding me on Facebook. Okay, great, whatever. Then the business mind kicked in and said, how do I build this really big? How do I make this a usable asset inside my business? And by the way, I'm not an expert in it either. I just have a lot of connections and I do decently with it. So I followed a method that I call the 20-50-100. First thing I did was I went and looked at any of my current friends, and then I just scrolled potential friends, and anybody that had 20 mutual connections that I was not connected with automatically got a friend request from me. That was the 20. That was my database was small. As it grew, it had to be 50. So if John and I are not connected, and I see John on Facebook, and we've got 50 mutual connections, this is Facebook again, I go, friend request. And then it went to 100 as my database got bigger. It had to be 100 because now there's more webs, there's more connection, there's more things happening. It had to go to 100. So I started looking for people that had 100 mutual connections, friend request. Be careful. I got thrown in Facebook jail 3 times. For a day once, for a week twice. It wouldn't let me back in for a week because I was sending too many. So that's why the web got bigger and bigger. As I evolved in it, I also started direct messaging them. I do this in LinkedIn today. In 18 months, I built my database in LinkedIn from 0 to 14,000 by looking for people that are connected somehow, sending them a request with a message attached, a direct message as well. You can do that in Instagram, you can do that in Facebook, you can do that in LinkedIn, you can do that on most platforms. The point is, I wanted to get it to the maximum, or at least to a high level, as fast as possible. As soon as I did that, top grading showed up. What do you think I mean by top grading? I can only have 5,000 connections in Facebook, right? Are all of those connections good? Yeah, you can only have 5,000 friends in Facebook. You can have as many followers as you want in Instagram. You can have as many connections as you want, I believe, in LinkedIn. However, focusing on Facebook, if you can only have 5,000 friends, do you think all of those connections are good? No. Do you think some of them are spam accounts? Do you think some of them are people that I should never have connected with? Or the first time I saw one of their posts, I unfriended them? Absolutely. Top grading to me means I'm constantly making my database better. Here's how I do it. So I wanted to get as big as possible. I got to about just under 5,000. It's remained right around 4,960 for the last few years. I am replacing, on average, 200 people per year. I check this. I don't track the number. I'm just giving you kind of a guess because I do it every single day. If it's your birthday, I go in there and I click on you. If I don't know you, and I go, nope, unfriend, so I can add somebody new in. I'm top grading. If I see someone's post, they're going way off on one side or the other, and it's not stuff I want to be involved with, unless they're really important to the business, I will unfriend them and add somebody new in. And I'm just constantly top grading. I use the Facebook birthday things as a trigger for me. Every day it tells me, these are the birthdays you have today. I go, okay, cool. Happy birthday, send a video, send a text, call, delete, and add somebody new in. So you're constantly top grading it. Could you do that with your email database too? Sure. Do some people no longer belong in your database? Should you kick some people out of your database? Do we have databases in personal life and professional life? Yeah. I just kicked somebody out of my personal database this weekend. A very, very close person. Because he is no longer fit for our lives. That sucked. It made room for someone better, though. Someone better for my life. I wish him happiness. I'm not going to get too deep into it, obviously. I wish him happiness. I hope he gets well. And he no longer deserves a spot in my database. So he's gone. And now there's space for either that time to be given to someone else, like the people that are ready to move now. I'm talking about my wife, not ready to move, just the highest, most important people. More time to her, more time to my kids, less thought to him, less energy to him. Look at your professional database the same way. Who are you giving energy to right now? And energy can be as little as I allow them to come across my screen. That takes me half a second, 3 seconds, or maybe I get sucked into it and it takes me 15 minutes. Is it doing anything for you? If not, get it out of there and put something, someone, or multiple new people in there. Get it as big as you can by being purposeful and then making it as good as possible. In the weightlifting or the bodybuilding world, this is called bulk, then shred. Build it, and then shred it down to what you want it to actually look like. That's why we do talk about growth so much. It's why your circle, your radius of service might expand and then contract inside your business. I live in Sacramento. I live in Folsom, 20 miles east of Sacramento. I sold houses here my first 3 years in the business. Why? Your price point's a lot better. You make 3 times as much money. Should I have? Did I do a good job? I think so. Should I have referred it to somebody? Yeah, it probably would have been better for the client. I look back on that and I don't regret it. I just acknowledge it. I sold 2 houses in Fremont, a couple in Redwood City, Hayward. I was coming down and booking hotel rooms on the weekend and doing open houses all weekend long, and then I'd go home on Sunday and spend time with my family on Monday. Hey, you want me to make $40,000 or you want me to make 10? Get out of here, Michael. And I'd leave for the weekend. It was great. My point is, it expanded until I didn't need to do it anymore. Then I stayed really close to my house. 60-something% of my sales came from within 5 miles of my house the last 3 years I was in production. I didn't want to leave my office. I didn't want to leave my house. My point is you build it and then you shred it. So, the 6, let your calendar be the boss. Build it out, keep it simple. Keep it simple for yourself first, okay? Don't add 60 things in there and expect yourself to do them all. You're going to beat yourself up. It's like having a to-do list that when you don't cross off 1, even though you crossed off 9, you focus on the 1 and you make yourself sad. Keep it simple, keep it productive, personal, professional development, activities. Number 2, move your current clients forward. Think of the current clients you've got now and what would potentially move them forward. Some of that's communication, some of that could be an offer. Go back to your previous appointments. Why did they say no? What would make them say yes? What offer can you put in front of them to get them to move forward right now with you? Look for ready, able, and willing prospects. Who wants to buy, sell, or invest today? Can you be the person that helps them do it? And what's going to help you get in front of them? Meet them where they are. Send them direct messages. I don't have 21,000 people, or whatever the number is, in my phone. I have 21,000 connections. I don't have 21,000 phone numbers. So I rely on DM for a lot of stuff. By the way, we see data around this constantly, that they are more likely to respond to a DM than a text, or even a phone call, or even a text. Even if they know you sometimes, they are more likely to respond to a DM because there's a little bit of safety there. They're behind an app. They're behind a platform. It's a little safer for people. And then, of course, continue to show your database, or start showing your database, that you are the answer. You are working with buyers. You are working with sellers. You are having success. You're putting them at the center of the transaction. You're putting them at the center of the story. They are the heroes. You are the provider. You're the support. You're the supporting cast. Don't put yourself out there too much. You should put yourself out there some, that it's all about you. Let other people do the heavy lifting for you by highlighting their successes and their needs. And that bonus was build it big and then shred it down and make it as good as possible. So I'd love to connect. This is me. My phone number, my email is at the bottom. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, you're more than welcome to. I'm happy to take any DMs, hint, hint, texts, calls, emails. I'm always happy to communicate on this stuff. I love it. Having gone through 18 months or so of struggling to becoming a relatively successful agent and being able to work my way into some opportunities through real estate, I believe it boils down to, what are you committed to doing? Does it have other people's best interests at heart? And are you willing to do it over and over and over and over again? You do that, you can have all the success you want. So thank you. Have an amazing rest of your day. I'll stick around for some questions. If you don't need to or want to stay for that, no worries. Thank you. Have an amazing rest of your day. Do something with this. If you have questions, I'm going to stay right here and answer anything that you got. All right. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. If you're not willing to be in a picture, get up and leave. I would like to get a picture of us really quickly. Can we at least raise our hands like we're happy or something? Can we do that? Come on. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you. If you don't want that used, just shoot me a text. I won't use it. All right. Go get them. John, thank you for working with me there.
I have a lot of things.
Okay, so
Database is so good. Like at first, it's like I have really
I don't know if it works. It works for me. Yeah, it's all different.
Thank you. Sangeeta, I didn't want to work on that, especially calendar stuff.
Good.
This was
I'm glad. Let me check in with me if you're willing. No pressure. Check in with me. Tell me what's going on, what's going well, what struggles you might be having. If I can help, I will. My pleasure.
I was just so excited we got an offer and they were on their solution, so I was like, do it. Respond back.
That would be so funny. I see everybody's